Good evening, golfers, and welcome again to another episode of Reddit Swing Analysis. And today we have 3 swings for you, 2 friends and 1 individual. And Matt, we're going to start off right here. Unfortunately, only sent me the behind down the line, so we just have the down line to look at. And I chose an iron. He sent me a driver and an iron. I just decided an iron because that's the one that you use more often. So thanks for sending the driver. And if we do a driver analysis, I'll definitely put that up there to include it. And as always, please don't take this advice to heart. Always consult who you're working with. And if you're not working with anyone, let me know. I can definitely point you in the right direction in your area. And it's really hard to guess where you are. If that's a basement, that's a really cool setup you have right there. I'm really jealous, so kudos to you if that's your basement. Let's take a look straight off the bat. In Matt's a little notes he put, he said, hey, attached to 4 swings, they're all from behind. Let me know if I can provide anything else. Thanks so much for your help. No problem. I appreciate you sending the video. In the future, if you want to send me a front on, I'll do the front on in another episode, but just to make sure we get moving. Let's take a look at this swing. Okay, I think it's in real time, so let's just play real time. Okay, so he didn't let me know his handicap, didn't let me know what's going on here, which is good. You know, sometimes I like to go on these with an unbiased opinion here. Okay, overall pretty steady. Weight shifting a little bit towards the toes here. Not too bad. A little bit of release, premature release there. Okay, so we can definitely see same sort of thing that we see in a lot of videos, including myself. So I'm not saying you guys. I mean, this is a lot of us. Probably 95% of us do this with our motion on the way down. Definitely a lot of unnecessary leaning with the right knee. You can see it bows out and then spins. So not a lot of power that's pushing off in that motion. In terms of head position, the head's pretty steady. I don't see a lot of moving back and forward. I see your head being pretty steady in that box. If you put a little box around your head, the only time it does move is when you start your downswing, which is your transfer of energy. So I'm going to try and make a little line at the top here. And I apologize if it's hard to see in this line. Just the colors are a little bit strange here. Maybe I can change that color. Nope. Okay, so I'll put 1 in the top of your head and then 1 kind of in the front of your head, and make sure that's always visible too. And let's just take a look at your head motion, because that kind of shows you where your weight moves as well. So a little bit toe forward. You see how your head's moving forward there? A little bit of posture loss, weight coming to your toes. And then as you come through, now you kind of pull it back to where you would like to have been, and your motion's moving up. So not too bad, actually. Okay, let's look at that spine angle. So the spine angle looks pretty good. Just drew a spine angle line there for you, and what we're going to look at is how you maintain that spine angle through your motion. So it looks pretty good here. You know, even though your head kind of moves forward a little bit, weight gets to the toes a little bit more than you'd like, you still do a pretty good job of maintaining your spine angle. Now, based on that spine angle, the shoulder tilt should be in that angle here. So let's make sure that stays. Remember, it's always a 90-degree angle from your spine angle. So top of the swing, pretty good, pretty level shoulders. So your shoulders did a great job. Hands are maybe slightly lower than they need to be, but it's no big deal. You don't get trapped, you don't get stuck because you maintain your spine angle. As you come into the target, however, in the golf ball, you can see it's not much pushing on that right side to the left side. So what I recommend is, if you have, assuming this is your basement, if it's not your basement, then you might have to think about something else. But if this is your basement, get a full-length mirror. You can go pick one up at Target for a few bucks, or Ross. Go somewhere that's secondhand, assuming you're from the States. And just put an electrical tape right down the middle, nice long piece. And that just shows you your right and left side. So as you get to the top, make sure you look in the mirror too. Is look at the top of the swing and then focus on your lower body, driving more into the target. So much so that your right foot wants to stay down, push into the golf ball. And that should help you get a little bit more power. I'm not sure what you're looking for. I can't quite see the numbers there. I see, my eyes are so bad. I think 6,400 spin rate, 1.27 smash. So your smash is pretty low. You need that to be like 3.5 with the irons, 3.5 and above. 137 flight, it looks like. So I'm just taking a wild guess. This might not even be your numbers. So my best recommendation for you right now, get that full length mirror, look at your lower body, make sure it's driving more into the target. Squat a little bit more as you take that downswing. If you don't know what I mean by squatting, I posted a video last night about a long drive competitor. Just watch what he does. He squats really well. So hope that helps you. Let's go to the next couple. All right, so here we have Zach, and Zach sent himself and Reuben together, and so we'll do both of them back to back. So Zach, in his notes, puts struggles with swinging over the top, finds hard to shallow on downswing. Common mishit is a slice or hitting the ground first. Struggles with driver, big slice. So it seems like a lot of this is a plane issue just by the notes. So I would expect some out to in motion, maybe some distance decrease, meaning from the golf ball to your body. Maybe there's some swaying action forward and back that we might be looking at. But let's just take a look here. First time I'm seeing this. Okay, yeah, so very steep. Club face is shut, very steep. Can't really release the golf ball, kind of holding that club face open. Yeah, look at that, club face is still open. So you're almost afraid to release the golf club at this point, just by looking at it already. Not a lot of room between your hands and arms to move, so you can't really drop it down the slot. So that's the only path that the hands and arms really have, is that outside in motion. Standing up at impact. I can see why you have pretty massive slices. So it'll be better from the front view to see how your grip is. It looks pretty neutral from here, but it could be a little weak on that left side. I'll have to see when I look at that front view. But if you can kind of get an idea what I mean, you see how close your hands and legs, your knees are. I mean, that's at starting point. So, if you try and turn here, you might be able to turn back, but on the way through and keeping the club in the slot, it's going to run out of room. Your arms are going to hit your side. There's not going to be a lot of motion going through the golf ball. So you basically have to kind of stand up, create some room, and just hold on for dear life because you have a closed club face. If you release that at all, that ball is going so far left, it's going to be a little frustrating for you. So definitely stand a little bit further away. Create that gap in between the arms and hands. It's going to feel like you're standing way back here, but you're not going to be. If you want some ideas on where your legs should be, so if I go basically from the heels back, it's still kind of supporting the front part of your hips. Feel like it's supporting the back part, so your legs can move back about 6 or 8 inches. You'll stand a little bit taller, or you can bend more forward, and that'll bring your weight more towards the front portion of your feet, not your toes, but the front portion. So that might help you out a little bit there. Takeaway, you're trying to pull that club inside. You do a pretty good job turning. Already, because you're so close, the weight's kind of shifting to your toes. You can see you're getting closer to the golf ball, and that's a recipe for disaster, because now your arms are pretty set pretty nicely. If you were standing a little bit further back and taller and kind of bent over a little bit more, you can then now reroute that club by dropping the right shoulder down and turning. But since there's not enough room, this is the only path your hands have to go. And although the club is pointing fairly close to that golf ball, that's a very steep angle. That I don't want to say the S word, but I can see a couple of S's coming out of this, or that hosel fade, like I prefer to call it. So let me know if you ever do hosel fade. If that's the case, it's most likely this. Club face is very shut. It's still closed here. Ideally, in a perfect world, you want it to match that left arm, so you can see your club face is definitely shut. So you can't really release it from this point. Not saying that closed club face is anything bad. However, if you are set up correctly, so you can use your body to square that club face as opposed to your hands, when you use that body to tilt and turn, it actually pushes your hands out in front, so you don't have to release the club, i.e. Bubba Watson, all the guys with super strong grips, and that shut the club face at the top. So I don't mind a shut club face, but your setup isn't allowing you to use this correctly with that exit path too. So your exit path gets too steep. Now with that shut club face, you're relying on your body to really clear and tilt under, which you don't have enough room to do. You can see your right arm is just kind of trapped at that point. So you just have to make up the rest by standing up, getting out the way. Now your right arm can clear, and there's no release because you're just trying to hold on for dear life. And you can see that club face is still here. It's still open. So, this is square to your body. So it's still, 10 degrees open. So you're holding on to whatever power you have. You haven't quite released it. You just kind of muscle the golf ball. And as you said in your notes, you guys are both athletes, so it's really hard you know, when you're an athlete, you can get away with a lot. So hopefully that makes sense from the down the line. Let's take a look at your face on. Okay, so here's Zach's face on. So this might help answer some more questions. That ball position is too far off your right foot. You can see it already. So if you just draw a straight line from that golf ball back, straight up, look at that, it's not even touching your head. So just be careful. This is not an optimal position, especially since you have an issue with standing too close to the golf ball. So you can really see why you have to just hold off everything. So definitely move that ball position more towards the center, maybe even favor the left center just to get you used to this, so you don't have to hold on for dear life. You can just start, you know, standing further away, and you know, don't be afraid to turn now. Turn and tilt underneath and try and strike that golf ball. As you take that club back, so you do a fairly good job of working with what you have. The right hip is starting to slide out underneath from you, which will cause your upper body issues. Remember, your body works in unison, so whatever the lower body does, the upper body does the opposite to make sure you're standing upright. So we get to this point, all the weight's kind of shifted on the outside of your foot, as opposed to just staying planted on the inside. Club face is very shut, so from this position, you cannot release that club face because that thing will snap off the world. So you just have to kind of hold on and block and just, you know, try and muscle the golf ball through. So as you come back down to impact, this is where you're severely, you know, steep. Your body knows it. It's trying to get down to that golf ball sooner because it doesn't have that extra 8 or 9 inches that you need to help clear it. Plus, with a strong grip, it won't matter anyway. So you've kind of morphed into this swing. So I'm very curious. Typically, ball position creates a big part of your motion. So if you started playing golf and you played the ball position all the time back there, I can see why your swing had to evolve to try and strike that golf ball. So ball position is a huge thing. Never overlook ball position. Ball position creates your swing, especially athletic motions. They can start to feel what the ball position should be like. As you strike that golf ball, you know, you can see if that ball position was here, you know, your hands would have more time to be out in front of your chest, and you can hold on to that angle a little bit more. You definitely hit the ball much harder, and there's that just hold on release. So you do a great job as well, though, of keeping your triangle together. So you can see your body's quite capable of these positions. That's a really hard position to hold. Most people cannot hold that triangle for that long. So it's a very promising thing that you do. So I would just keep at it. You know, check your ball position, check your stance away from the golf ball. Make sure you have enough room. Feel like you're kind of leaning over a little bit more, and just turn naturally and see what happens. But that's about as good as I can recommend without providing way too much. Okay, so let's keep it simple. Ball position more centered, stand further away, and just get those hands to be releasing, or open the club face, close the club face. Just get that feeling down. But again, don't do this unless you're working with somebody. If you're not working with somebody, let me know. I can figure out, at least put my feelers out there to help you. And also, you said there's a bonus question if I can guess where you're from. So I'm gonna keep that in mind. Just off the bat, I think you're up in NorCal somewhere, but you know, you did say it was in America somewhere, so I'm saying Northern California, maybe Bodega Bay or up near Frisco, but it could be a little bit north of that. So let's take a look at the other one. All right, so here we have Reuben. Reuben, you look like a rugby player. That's all I have to say. You know, very strong. So Reuben's issues: struggles with balance throughout the swing, focuses on shifting weight and shallowing downswing, tends to hit the ball high, but can lose distance. All right, so just by your setup here, I'm gonna let it roll, see if your setup adjusts a little bit. Let's move it fast forward a little bit there. Okay, so the setup doesn't really adjust any bit. Already, you know, hopefully you can kind of tell by what I did with Zach's setup, is it looks very similar by way of not a lot of room for your hands and arms to work through. So at some point you're going to have to create that room while your body turns and tilts. Keep in mind that when you're turning, you know, that right leg is eventually going to have to get closer to the golf ball as you turn, unless you tilt very heavily to create that room. So I have a vision in my mind of what the swing looks like, but I'm just going to let it play out. So pretty solid takeaway there. You know, definitely keep your spine angle going. You can see your weight going towards your inside, which is good. This is where it gets a little bit tough. Okay, that's a very tough position to hit from when you're so low. and you have no room to work with. So look at that motion there. You know, definitely athletic. You can see, I mean, this is on a very athletic, powerful position, but it just looks a little bit, it's really a struggle to hit the golf ball from that low position. Let's take a look if you do any rerouting. Okay, it's actually, you do a wonderful job of that, recontouring yourself. But I think you're still robbing yourself. Okay, your weight's doing really good. I mean, look at that footwork. So footwork is really powerful. You can see the shift happening from the right side to the left side. Left heel's coming up, left toes coming up, right heel's coming up. So that's a good transfer of energy. It's going from in this direction. This is a really good follow through here. Still kind of holding on to that club as well. Okay, it's closed down a little bit. All right, so I think just honestly, just by this view, same sort of thing. You can see why you guys play together. You guys are feeding off of each other. Okay, so a little bit further back, taller, so you're not so hunched over. Now, I'm not sure of your height, but maybe you need longer clubs. That's just a recommendation. Go check your clubs. Send me your specs. Tell me how tall you are. Measure your arms for me from fingertips to the ground when you're standing tall, and I'll make sure to help you out with those specs. But there's just not a lot of room here, so it looks like you're trying to create room, and you do a pretty good job. Let's just take a look at that spine angle to kind of see what's going on as you swing. And I'll put the plane line. I'll put two plane lines, your lower plane line and your upper plane line, just to kind of show you what I mean. Make sure I make these visible, because sometimes I forget and they just disappear. And that's very frustrating. Okay, so as we take that club back, you can see the club is staying on that low plane line, which is really solid, especially with that low setup. It's hard to keep it down there, so you do a really good job. Your spine angle is kind of dipping down even further, but look at that upper plane line. So your left arm, in textbook, should be at that upper plane line. So that creates a room, that creates leverage, like a hammer motion, so your arms can go more vertical instead of being stuck so around. But let's see what you do on the way down. Okay, yeah, definitely. So your arms just need to free up. You do a great job. There's very little wrong with this motion from this view. So stand a little bit further away, a little taller. Get me your specs, and then just get that. Don't feel like you're taking it so far low. It's good to hear, and then from that point, just lift your arms up. Make sure they go up your chest so they get to that top plane line, and now they can hammer back down to the golf ball. Especially with your height, you should take advantage of it. So let's take a look at the front. It might change our decisions. All right, so here's Rubens Front. So much better ball position there. Zach, you can take cue from that. You should be copying that, Zach. Copy that, because that's a good ball position there. Okay, yeah, you can see those arms. You can't even see the arms in the backswing. Wow. I mean, wow, good that you can actually stay down there like that. Yeah, really good. Definitely, for the amount of, I don't know how to use this word, but the amount of that your body contorts. Forgive me if I'm using that word wrong, but you're contorting, if that's a word, in such a way that it's, I'm very surprised that you can get back to impact in a good position. This is a really good position here. Further back, it'll be even better. It'll free you up so you don't have to feel so tight. Okay, so you look at that turn. I mean, we're gonna draw a couple lines here just to show you. Look at that shoulder turn. It's pretty impressive. Hips. Okay, hips are about there to match your knees. So that's a really powerful motion. So what I'm looking at is the separation between the 2 degrees. So just by eyeballing it, looks like your hips are about 45, your shoulders are about 120. So you've probably generated 80 degrees of X factor. Now that's just static X factor. That's at the top of the swing. There's a thing called X factor stretch. So the X factor stretch is what most really long balls hitters do, is they start unwinding at the bottom while their shoulders remain closed. So think about this. If you can get your hips to turn more while your shoulders are closed, you take that 80 degrees of X factor and turn it into 90 to 100 degrees of X factor stretch. And that is an incredible amount of motion. So I think your potential to hit the ball a ton is there. Now, I'm not saying you just all of a sudden go hit this, you know, work on the X Factor stretch, not at all. Another good thing that you do is your shoulders match, your shoulder turn matches your club plane. Look how much turn you get, and the club's not even close to parallel. That is, in my opinion, beyond textbook. So that is phenomenal that you do that. Left knee breaks down to free you up to turn. Man, if you can get your arms out more higher, your arms will be up here. Now you can use all that leverage and just, you know, piston. You have it like a piston and just push down with your arms and just strike down. You know, it'll definitely. We'll have to see what it does with your spin rate, but. Okay, yeah. So you definitely lose a lot of your potential power. You know, look at that. You have such a great lag at the top of your swing. Forgive my computer. You know, must have been in the sun all day too. So if you take a look at that lag, now all of a sudden, you know, if your arms were higher, you can potentially hold this lag a little bit longer. So you're already starting to release, and that I think has to do with, you know, getting you from really low to kind of rerouting to get back to the top. And the rerouting is pushing your hands out, and you're starting to lose the power of that club head. That club head's starting to weigh, you know, with all your amount of turn that you develop, as you're turning back into it, that club head's building up more power because that's starting to weigh more, and that starts to get released too soon. So most of it's position based. You have the makings. Let me tell you right now, you have the makings of hitting this ball a ton. So recommendations to you is just, you know, stand taller, stand further, kind of like your friend. Just get your arms to go up more, and just get used to that. See how that goes. Let me know how it goes as well. For those that have sent me, I've received a few follow-up videos of the improvements I made. That's awesome. I'd love to see that. I hope that you checked with your PGA Pro before you started doing that. But it's okay if you don't. But great, and I love to see the improvements. So if you do have follow-up videos for those that have in the past that want to share that with me, that's awesome. I will eventually have a follow-up video just to show kind of before and after, just to see how we're evolving as a team. But my final guess for where you guys are, I am going to stick with my guns. I think you're up in Northern California, central to the northern coast. It was windy that day and you were on the coast, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Somewhere in the Bodega Bay area. That's my guess. All right, guys, so thank you so much for the videos. I appreciate all your support for this series. And if you know anybody that needs help, the link is at the bottom with the email. And other than that, enjoy your night, and always fairways and greens.